Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the inaugural podcast. Today, we have some awesome topics for you. This week, we introduce a co-host of Monk Meditation. We'll talk about the new raid, flex raids, proving grounds, virtual realms, and more. We'll discuss Jihn'rok the Breaker and tips for your monk on how to better navigate that fight. On the PTR, there have been some huge changes. We see Tier 16 finally arrive. Windwalkers have gotten hit with the nerf bat real bad. Or have they? We'll discuss. This is Monk Meditation, Episode 0. Alright, welcome everyone to Monk Meditation. We've got a big show up for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chaithi on Airy Peak, US, as well as Argent Dawn. I raid with Windwalker and Brewmaster Monk, currently tanking on Rolling Thunder on Convert to Raid Nalek. I'm going to introduce the hosts to everybody. First of all, let's go to wonderful Boulder, Colorado, where it's always sunny up there with Sunnier Bear. How you doing, Sunny?
Yes, I'm doing good, I think. I guess I rate as Brewmaster for Frustration on US Fenris. Current progression is what we're supposed to talk about?
Yeah, we'll just introduce everybody first.
That's it.
Just want to see how you're doing tonight. All right, let's go over to our healers, both of them hailing from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We'll start off with Naoyuki. How you doing now? And I just muted you instead of unmuted you. There you go. All right, go ahead. That's Duke. Let's put you on there. There we go. Now, Yuki, how you doing? Come on.
Hear me now?
There we go.
Alrighty. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Getting back into the game, playing my Mistweaver, as usual.
Alright, well let's switch over to our other healer, the one that keeps my butt alive in Rolling Thunder. Daikatsu, how you doing tonight, man? Alright, come on. I love audio issues.
I know. We're still
there we go.
These first episode jitters are wonderful. I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here.
Alright, I'm going to unmute air before we even get over there. Sweet. Alright, and we go to our Windwalker extraordinaire in the land of the rising sun, where his character is in the land of the rising sun kick. Air Monk, how are you tonight? And muted. Okay, hold on.
That's awesome.
Okay, give it a shot now.
There might be a mute button on the top.
Well, this is episode 0.
Exactly.
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Air. I'm raiding with the Salad Senate 25-man team on Airy Peak. Helping them out, hopefully down bosses, and just having a general good time.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So, let's go ahead and move into our first segment. And I need to pull up the notes so I know what that is. Oh, this is going great so far. Okay. Storm, Earth, and Fire. Alright, Storm, Earth, and Fire is where we talk about how we're doing in raiding. So, I'll start off. Rolling Thunder raids Friday nights and Tuesday nights on Airy Peak, US. We had a huge monk showing yesterday. Air joined us, as well as Duke is our normal runner for Mistweaving, and I'm Brewmaster Tanking, and we usually have Bruce Willis, so he wasn't able to join us last night, but we got Tarumu down.
Woot.
Woot!
Nice. Congrats, guys.
Alright, so Air, who do you normally run with?
I'm normally running with the Salad Senate on the 25, I think one of two 25-man teams in CTR. And we're up on, let's see, server time, Wednesdays and Thursdays nights, which ends up being Thursday and Friday mornings for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the longest time, we did only raid 3 hours per week, but now we are up to 2 nights, so doing good. A little bit stuck on Tortoise at the moment, but got him down once before, and hopefully we'll be making some turtle soup later this week.
Man, that Tortoise fight is nasty. And are you doing heroic, or are you normal still?
We're running through normal at the moment.
Okay.
And with 25 people, with the turtles, the bats, everything, it's complete an absolute mess.
Well, luckily that those bats, you can at least kick up some huge numbers there, like you've done already.
It's exciting to see what happens,
Right.
especially when things kind of line up.
All right, Naoyuki, how you doing raiding?
Currently, I'm looking on the forums for a team. Because of the real-life situation, I couldn't raid. So I got back into Signals Medium forums and applied, and still waiting on a response. Hopefully I get one soon.
There's like 90-something. How many raid teams we got going right now?
A lot of raid teams.
A lot of raid
believe
teams.
We're up to 65, maybe more.
It's
now.
possible at this point that the Convert to Raid Guild is the World of Warcraft raiding community.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
your guild is bigger than my server.
Well, all right. Well, let's talk about your server, Sunnier. How's raiding going with you?
Well, I raid for the one serious raid group on my server. There's some, not, but we are currently working on Heroic Dark Animus, which is a very interesting fight. But pretty excited for that one to fall over so we can finally start the end bosses.
We're about to start normal Dark Animus, so you got one up on us. How is tanking Dark Animus?
There's so many ways to tank that. In our current strat, I actually am tanking, thank goodness, because previously we were trying to Zerg it, and I had to go Windwalker. I'm not very good at Windwalker.
Well, without reforging the heck out of it, it's tricky.
Yeah, I don't have the trinket, so. But tanking it's a lot of fun because it's a lot of positioning stuff, and you can do some really fun but stressful stuff with ridiculous vengeance numbers. It's complicated, but I'm enjoying it.
All right. I look forward to having you down that boss so we can talk about it. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and move on then. Dizzying Haze. Dizzying Haze is where we talk about the news of World of Warcraft and how it affects monks. So we're going to start off with our first topic of flexible raid difficulty. I'm stoked for this. I'm actually going to start a monk meditation raid team on Airy Peak, but it's not server bound, which is the awesome part. You can bring in anybody, up to 25 people, anywhere between 10 to 25. So it's going to be Saturday mornings once it comes out. That's going to be a lot of fun. All monks, all the time.
Yes.
All right.
We'll find new creative ways to take down a boss without anyone in range.
Yes. Man, Touch of Karma. What, like 10 or 15 Touch of Karmas? Isn't that going to be awesome, Era?
I'm just waiting to see
That'll be
all the
pretty fun.
crackling. Yeah,
Oh,
it's gonna be a blast. I think Flex Raid is something that is going to be a big hit for Blizzard without the negative impact that LFR seems to have given them. You know, you have a lot of people who complain that LFR shouldn't be in the game. I don't think those same complaints are going to come out of Flex.
No, because it is designed so you go in with a pre-made group. The problem with LFR is you have the, anonymous people in there that think they can just troll everybody and no consequences. And unfortunately, it really is no consequences, because I always seem to get errors on those trolls where it's like, you cannot kick that person for 2 hours.
There's a definite level of accountability that will remain with flex rate, which I think will be definitely good for the community.
I think even LFR, because for me, LFR, it got me into raiding, even though I didn't have time. But flex raiding on Saturdays especially, I mean, it's going to open up what I really want, a real type of raid, but with flexibility of time. You know?
Right. Not only flexibility of time, but I mean, you start off with 25 people, for example, and then the attendance boss kills every raid. Every time. So there's always going to be 1 or 2 people that just can't make it that week, and you have to pug and you have to explain it. We ran into that with Jihn'rok last night, where we had him down to like 3% on Friday. We come in on Tuesday or on Monday, we had to bring in 2 new people, explain the fight all over again, and go through that whole learning curve again. Wipe. Whereas flex and raid, you're like, well, we've got 23, good to go, because it'll just flex down, which is absolutely awesome. Sunnier, what are your impressions?
I'm super excited because finally I have a chance to raid current content with my friends in like a casual, fun atmosphere. And also for the achievements, because I've been, like, in a heroic raiding guild, it's really hard to do the kind of vanity achievements for the meta. But this way you can do both. You can down heroic bosses, and you can go have the fun achievement time with friends. I like that.
That's awesome. So, Air, what do you think? Are you going to be on a flex raid team?
Well, there's monk meditation, of course.
Obviously.
I'm excited for it, just to, it'll eliminate the need to run LFR, which can be a little bit trying at times. Especially, it'd be nice to run concurrently with normal modes too, in case you have some spare time, because I believe they will be sharing separate lockouts as well. So it'll be a fun way to kind of fill in some gaps if you need to, and you can do some kind of crazy things with the, run 13 people, run 14 people, run 23 monks, and see what happens. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it.
And Duke, what do you think about the fact that we're not going to have a full raid team at all times?
You know what? There's one group that this is going to be perfect for, and that's those guys that are sitting on a bench in a raid team. Mm-hmm. If you're running a 10-man raid team, that means you've got about 12 to 13 people on a total waiting every night to raid. Instead of forcing those people to sit and not have a chance at any bosses, it's like, nope, we're running flex, let's go, everyone jump in. And as long as you keep your tanks and your healers proper for the makeup of the group, you're not really going to have a problem downing those bosses, because yeah, the gear's going to be a little bit lower, but you can get those same achievements, you can get that meta mount, and you can have fun with people without the pressure of, oh, I'm in LFR and there's a couple of jerks in this, or I need to raid normal, that means I need to get my gear up to a certain level.
Right. So one question I have is, especially to Sunnier, since she does heroic raid, it seems like you're trying to be at the forefront of the raiding community. So is it going to be, is your raid leader going to force you to do flex, LFR, normal, heroic?
With my particular brand of heroic raiding, they won't force us to do anything, because like with this tier I've only done LFR once, one branch of it, because I just don't need anything from it.
Oh god, I'm jealous of you.
I know. But that highly depends on your kind of rating atmosphere. I've been in guilds before where they will expect that, or at least hope that you do something like that, until you get like the whatever game-breaking trinkets, and there are some really kind of game-breaking trinkets out in the next year, as well as tier bonuses. So I don't think it might end up being a bad thing for the very top percentage. But I don't think the average person should feel pressured to run all of those versions, or then it's just TOC all over again. Everyone hates it.
Yeah, I would not look forward to doing LFR, then flex, then normals. And one thing I'm glad.
Sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
think for a lot of people it's going to be LFR or Flex. You're not going to see a lot of people that are going to do LFR and Flex.
Right. I don't think that I will ever run an LFR again once 5.4 comes out, and that makes me ecstatic. What do you think, Air?
It's especially with the way the gear levels are working out too. It would be nice with not having to run LFR, having the ability to I don't know, just eliminate that part when you don't need it. If you press for time, you don't feel like you have to do LFR. You don't have to get your 4 or 14 bosses. Get your 3 or 4 runs in, and whenever you can, as soon as the server resets, so you can be ready for your raid time just a couple days later. The loss of that kind of pressure will be really nice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think the 528 is what they're capping at LFR for the next tier. So,
I believe so.
With us all upgraded on 522s, hopefully by the end of this tier, or higher for Sunnier, we won't need to do it at all. There will be no incentive whatsoever to do LFR, which could be kind of interesting for people who don't have the time and don't have the friend or community to do flex raids. I kind of worry about those folks, because LFR is going to be missing the skilled players, the people who are true raiders that are in there trying to get their tier pieces, or their legendary or something like that. Those will not be in there at all, and so that may cause a problem.
Well, I mean, Blizzard has talked about several times how LFR is made specifically for the people that don't go in normal organized raids, which means that they have a good handle on how hard these bosses should be. We saw in just this expansion that we got the determination buff. That way, if a group fails on a boss, they get a 5% increase to everything and can try again. What you're probably going to see is that LFR is going to take longer to get into. The people that you jump into are going to be at about the same skill level, because you are going to have people that just won't do a flex. A flex is going to have a higher difficulty to start because, well, you can't just hit a button and go. You need 9 other people minimum. And if you're organizing 9 people, well, maybe you're at the point where you might as well just jump into a normal.
Right. Okay, well, any last thoughts on the subject before we move on?
It'll be interesting to see with the staggered release dates as well, because you'll obviously be doing normals first, typically a week later is heroics, and then it'll be interesting to see if they bring out flex at that same time, and then LFR a week later still, because I think at one point they did mention that LFR will be the last set to start rolling out too. So it'll help people get essentially geared up, so people doing normals, etc., will not feel like they have to run LFR to get any kind of advantage. So
right.
I think, was it 2 months before we saw this current tier be fully released? 2.5 months?
Yeah, it staggered for a few weeks, and then I remember between 2 and 3, there was a 3-week gap, and I kept coming back. I'm like, where's the third piece? I want to go and I want to downlay Shen.
It was like 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they stagger it, 2 weeks, a week or something like that, just to see, how it affects people seeing the content. Because a lot of people complain that with the ability to run LFR before they have a chance to down on a normal, it is essentially ruining that end part of them, because they feel forced, they have to see it, but then when they when they got to Lei Shen for the regular fight, it seemed like a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I don't know, because in my opinion, it's like, yeah, I saw Tordos, but getting in there and actually doing it on normal, it's a completely different fight. It seems to me like LFR is just, unless you get a whole bunch of trolls, the first week is really painful, but unless you get a whole bunch of trolls, it's just a cakewalk. You get basic mechanics, you get to see what the fight looks like, but you don't, there's not really much narrative that you actually get, because I remember after we beat Council, we walked in and one of my healers was like, whoa, wait, what, there's a cutscene, huh? I thought we just magically teleported down to a cave.
Yes, seeing that cutscene, seeing the story roll out, you don't get that in LFR, and so when our team first made it, we had 25 people who, this is the first time they'd seen it, and it was a pretty cool feeling. So, if LFR is slowed up in its release. That sense of discovery, Blizzard can put more of those cutscenes in. I think that'll be kind of a very nice thing for the game as a whole.
All right, great. Well, I want to move on to Proving Grounds. I know Naoyuki was really excited for this, so what are your thoughts?
I am very excited about this. I mean, not only does it give you a chance to practice whatever spec you're going to, like, I'll give you an example. I Mistweaver main spec, Windwalker off spec. Someday I decide, oh, I don't want to do Windwalker anymore, I just want to practice Brewmaster. I don't have that pressure of having to go to a dungeon or heroic, whatnot, and have to deal with the trolls. Oh, you suck, you're a noob. Meanwhile, I've been playing for a long time and they don't know. This Proving Ground will actually teach you how to be a tank. You don't have that pressure of other people. At the same time, even if I wanted to go in as Mistweaver, it'll make me a better person as a player. There's different levels. I believe there's like gold and bronze, and you can also compare the achievements as well with your friends, and I'm just very excited about it.
I think in the grand scheme, I think Proving Grounds is going to be one of those things that Blizzard is going to have to update for every expansion going forward. Just before the show started, I was talking to my wife, who is leveling up a paladin and wants to tank eventually. And I told her that with this, it's perfect because she can go in solo. All she has to do is keep that little healer NPC alive. And the further she goes, the better she will feel about her abilities as a tank. And you're going to see this with people who are not that experienced. Maybe this is their first, maybe it's their second level cap character. People like Nael said that he wants to do switch over to Brewmaster and learn that. It's going to be fantastic because you can take it at your own pace. There are achievements, and eventually you get to the endless mode where you go as long as you can, kind of like Horde mode in Gears of War.
I mean, what console game out there doesn't have some kind of solo setup where you can test yourself against the game for some kind of ranking? It's in there in first-person shooters, adventure games. It's in all the racing games. I mean, there's always some kind of content out there where you can measure yourself based on time or progression on other people without actually having to talk to anyone. So, it's something that's in many other games. I think it'd be really cool to see in WoW.
Yeah, it kind of brings that scenario leaderboard to individuals. I would have killed for this feature a few months ago when our main tank's like, yeah, I need to take 4 or 5 weeks. Can you step in as tank? So I would have killed for this because like I had tanked a little bit when I was coming up, but at 90, I hadn't tanked at all. So I was like, okay, I need to learn all my buttons again. And the first time I went in on Jihn'rok, oh, that was brutal. So I would have killed for this. It would have been. It's really nice because when you're a DPS, you can at least practice your rotation on these dummies, and you can see your DPS going up. You can't do that with tanking. You can't do that with healing, and so that gets really tricky. What do you think, Sunnier, for as a tank? Is this something you're going to really like?
Oh, I think it's the best thing ever. In the past, I've always like teaching new brewmasters. I tell them to like go to these easy 5-man dungeons and practice by yourself there, because then it's no pressure and you get to learn how to take care of yourself. And that's always awkward because it's not immediately obvious. And but this way it's designed to be soloed, and it's got a nice learning curve. And I'm really excited for people to have the opportunity to learn how to heal and tank, especially in a no pressure environment.
All right, great. All right, so there have been some updates very recently to the legendary quests, the cloak, legendary cloak, and so right now I remember seeing Sunnier's post that we're running as brewmasters. We're running the DPS cloak. Now, is this going to change once we actually get to legendary? Or what do you think, Sunnier? Are you going to want that DPS cleave because of the stats are better, or are you going to want that one-shot savior?
It kind of depends. My hunch is that we're going to want the DPS one because that's always going to be useful. Just like how the DPS meta is always useful. And in 10-man especially, you don't really need any of that survival stuff. But it depends on how the encounters are designed. If they do something like they did in Dragon Soul, where you didn't need the tank tier pieces to get to down everything, but it definitely helped a lot to have those tier pieces. They might do something similar with the cloak proc and have some near one-shot abilities or heavy burst that threatens tanks. If that's not there, then yeah, the DPS cloak is going to be a pretty clear winner.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that. So let's talk about where we're at, where everyone's at in terms of legendary. I completed it a week and a half ago. I tried to do the DPS challenge. Tried being the key word. After 2 or 3 polls, I'm like, let's go try the tanking one. That one worked out a lot better for me. So I have the cloak now. 608 is very pretty. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that legendary goes. Air, how are you doing with that?
Picked up my cloak last week. Finally, I had a kind of a 2-week vacation where I was traveling, and so I didn't get any wowing, which is kind of nice to do. Come back hungry and everything like that. But picked up the cloak, double upgraded it, and it is very, very pretty.
Yes.
Big fan.
That's the one cloak that I haven't hid in years.
Yeah. It seems like it's a bit longer than some of the other cloaks in the game too, which is kind of nice for if you're into looking at your character and all. But the fight was I did a DPS fight. It was without really any reading up or any videos or anything like that, and I got about 10 seconds into the first pull before I realized that this would hurt a lot.
Yes.
And so second pull is a lot of button pushing, healing, running away, kiting, and then by the time you get done with it, your hands are shaking because you're like it's so close, but you can't forget what you're doing, and end up two-shotting it, which I was pretty excited about.
Oh,
so,
congratulations! Yeah, those oozes were like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, I was you stick around a little bit too much for those, and you just get destroyed.
Yeah,
so.
Those hit like a truck.
Yeah.
All right, Naoyuki, how are you doing on your legendary?
Well, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus with my Mistweaver for, I'd say, about 3-4 weeks. I was leveling my mage a little bit, and I recently, I'd say 2 weeks ago, I got back on my Mistweaver. So I'm just catching up. I'm on the part where I have to collect 20 secrets, I believe, in Throne of Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I think I get Titan Runestones or something.
Right. Yeah, it's been really nice having a LFR
Yes.
there to do it. Because, I mean, if I had to wait until I got into the last 6 bosses of Throne of Thunder in order to get those 12 runestones, I think we just got Drumu's in that one, so we just got 1 kill. So I would have 0 because the drop rate sucks in those things. So
I think I only have like maybe 3 or 4, and I've run all 4 LFRs for the last 2 weeks, straight. It's rough.
I'm sure they're going to be bumping those up here soon. Get everyone caught
so.
up. All right, Sunnier, how are you doing on yours?
I just got my cloak like 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
And I have probably missed like 1 Lei Shen kill since the raid opened. I just had horrible luck. But finally, it's here, and I can stop feeling jealous of everyone else in my raid that already had theirs a long time ago.
Maybe you can rush in there as soon as 5.4 drops and get the legendary first and put them all to shame.
I've never been lucky enough.
All right, Daikatsu, how are you doing with yours?
I am. I just got my Metagem 2 weeks ago, and at this point I'm just collecting the Titan Runestones. I'm at 5 of 12, so it's at least 2 more weeks, although with my luck it's probably closer to 7.
Well, at least it's a guaranteed 7 now. The Lei Shen always will drop 1.
There is an end in sight, yes.
Yes. So what are your impressions of the healing proc for the legendary?
They just changed it instead of being the 3% hot that everyone gets, now it's you get a increase in healing done by 3%, and all of your overhealing will be redistributed to nearby injured friends for about 10 seconds. And I'm not so sure if I like that change. I like the idea that overhealing is going to be distributed. It's just usually, as a healer, you're trying to minimize your overhealing, so where is it just going to be a bonus for me to keep single heal the tank, keep them topped off, and anything just kind of flows over to other people? So it's going to be really interesting to see how that cloak plays out once we finally get our hands on it.
And Mistweaver has such a unique style of healing that's going to play really interesting with Mistweavers.
Yeah, because you can imagine what it looks like when you've got your full renewing mist out for everybody. And a 10-man, everyone's covered, everyone's kind of close to topped off. You hit uplift tops them off, and all the overflow goes, and it's going to be really interesting to see what that does for numbers. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that cloak.
You are so going to rock that overheal. You're gonna put the druids to shame.
I used to raid as a Restro Druid, so I got used to having, oh look, 50% overheal. I'm on target. So it's going to be something that I think Druids. I don't know what Disc is going to do because they never have overheals.
Yeah, friggin' Disc Priest. Seriously.
I think they're switching to Holy in 5.4, if I'm not mistaken. So the cloak might work better for them.
Yeah, Disc has been getting nerfed like crazy, so yeah, everyone's going to be switching to Holy. So
if they switch over to Holy, that cheering you hear is all of the other healers having a chance.
Right. All right, so last piece of news that I want to talk about. Tier 16 monk sets have been revealed. What is everyone's thoughts? Let me go ahead and show everyone on the screen here. Alright, so that is Tier 16 on a human. There's Tier 16 on a panda. So I like the panda a lot better.
Well, like usual, everything looks better on a panda.
Right.
Male or female.
Yes, everything always looks better on a panda.
True story.
I'm wondering, is it gender specific? Because I noticed there's pants and a skirt, or they haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be like the Mistweaver version is going to have the skirt.
That'd be awesome.
It'll likely just be an offset.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a main set offset, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, or an off-tier
good-
piece.
Yeah. Good transmog options.
Yeah. It looks...
I actually
ahead.
like it with the pants myself. To tell you the truth, it kind of looks like a bit of a roguish set. I'm wondering when monks had to hide their faces.
Mm-hmm.
But
Shadow Pan had their faces. Monks.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
running the Shadow Pan hat for a while until you showed me I could do the straw hat even better.
oh man, I love that straw hat.
What are your impressions? What does that look like a tank set to you, Sunnier?
Oh, I'm super excited about it. I just love the colors because I think the other two monk tiers, while they've been very pretty, they felt too complex for me, and I like the simple robe, just white with a few gold and red accents. I think that's very much.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It reminds me a lot of the Diablo 3 monk set. The artwork is very similar, and I'm okay with this. So, white is an interesting choice for the monk, though. It's I've always thought we were more like green-red type. White is an interesting choice.
And you have the blue set as well, so it will be interesting to see which gets the red, which gets the blue, which gets the white, too.
Yeah, so do we know which color flex rate is going to be getting? Is it going to be the same as LFR?
Hard to say. I don't think they've said anything about it.
No, I haven't heard.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of stinky if we have to go search through 4 different sections in the window Looking for. Okay, all right. Here's my LFR one. Okay, here's my flex. Here's my normal. Here's my heroic. All right, that's gonna kind of stink. But yeah, they've only shown 3 colors though, so that says 2 of them are going to be combined. Is it going to be normal and flex or LFR and flex?
My guess would be normal and flex.
Yeah.
I would think that as well.
Yeah, well, let's hope. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and move on. Hello. Fists of Fury. I should have been on air right there. That was awesome. All right. So Fists of Fury is where we talk about a particular fight, a raid fight. And if you want to hear what the raid fight is, I would suggest going to Convert to Raid 2, the podcast. They have great breakdowns of the fight. What we're going to talk about is monk-specific tips. Go through each of the specs and do that. So we'll start with Brewmaster for Jihn'rok the Breaker. All right, so there's a few different tips. I'll let Sunnier kind of lead off on this because I imagine she's done on heroic.
Yeah. Let's see. There's some good places to use avert harm, like when everyone is grouped up on the puddle. What really helped me with, Nimble Brew can break the stun, which it can't break every single stun if you're taking most of them, but you should probably just use it when your co-tank gets the static wound debuff.
Right, yeah, when that's proccing the whole time and sparking off, you definitely want to hit that and get up there as quickly as possible.
And speaking of static wound, that it is dodgeable. It's a special attack that's like merged with his melee attack, so you can save up some elusive brew stacks, and that should alleviate some of the raid damage if something bad happens and you have to take it. Ideally, that doesn't happen, but
that's a good tip. I did not know that was dodgeable.
Yeah, some of these things are kind of surprising that it's dodgeable. It's not.
Yeah.
Other than that, a big thing is that Shuin he bugs out when you get thrown. So just don't use him before you're about to get thrown. Use him after. And other than that, just save your cooldowns for the heavy movement phases, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, make sure that you, when you're using Avert Harm, you call out to your healers because they'll be trying to raid heal when all of a sudden you're the one taking most of the damage. So, all right, Windwalkers. I know I love this fight because Kalanid, who is our hunter, usually top DPS, I always destroy him in this fight. It is set for Windwalkers because Thunder Eye Brew or Tiger Eye Brew, when you use that in the pool and you get all your trinket procs and you double your DPS, you will just destroy this fight. So, got any other tips there?
Well, yeah, I mean that conductive water is really huge for the Windwalkers because and you really have to communicate with your tanks to get them to pull Jihn'rok to the puddle as fast as possible to take advantage of this for melee range. You have a little more leeway because you do have that extra room to play with. But try to buy him some cookies, give him a hug, something, get them to get that big guy over the puddle as soon as possible.
That's why Bruce loves me and my team, because I'm a monk, I know it, so I'm like, get that thing over there as quick as possible.
So, as you said, use your Tiger's Eye Brew while you're in the water. In that first set, don't do anything with it. Touch of Karma and Diffuse Magic can be put to really good use here, because while, when the lightning storm comes, everyone's running to get behind him to stack up, and you can have a little bit of fun here by using Touch of Karma. You're actually able to stay in that water for that extra, 6 seconds or so. So you can continue with the buff, use whatever pots you have, whatever procs you got, your Tiger's Eye Brew, keep using it, stay in there. On top of that, you can also use Diffuse Magic for that 90% damage reduction. And so you're getting a lot more time in that conductive water for the extra damage on the boss, and then by the time you get back, you can pop a quick Zen meditation, help the raid out, and you're all set to go. So
I didn't even think about using it in the water during the storm. I always thought that would one-shot you.
Well, if you want, you can macro your energizing brew to your touch of karma because it will allow you to stay in the water for most likely the entire duration of the touch of karma spell. Otherwise, it will drop off early because you will have gone through your entire health within a few seconds. But combining them both, you are taking a 90% damage with diffuse magic. After that, let your healers know what you're doing, so they're not screaming at you.
Right.
Wondering
I
why
see dude going, "What the hell are you doing? Get out of there!"
Especially in that when you're using diffuse magic, you're still taking 10% damage, which can hit for a decent amount. So let them know. Time it well, so by the time it's over, you're already getting to where everyone else is to get those heals. And what's really nice is those things are both on the same cooldown rotation as each throw. So as soon as the next conductive water comes up, your touch of karma and your diffuse magic will have come off cooldown, and you're ready to repeat again for the next pool.
Oh, it's no wonder we destroy hunters in this fight. They
It's
must
a
really
lot of
hate us
fun.
in this fight. All right, now Yuki, you got some mistweaving tips for us?
Yeah, when the conductive puddles come out, just stand in them. They have a great healing buff, 40% healing buff. That's huge for a raid. You want to use diffuse magic and fortifying brew during the lightning storms, though. You do want to stack an AoE. Throw up as many renewing mists and uplifts as you can. You also want to talk to your healers, get in contact, talk about what cooldowns you're going to use, because you also want to use revival. Revival is a huge heal for Mistweavers as well. Zen Sphere and Chi Burst are good cooldowns for here. The Zen Sphere you put on the tank and it bursts on everybody equally. The Chi Burst, everybody's grouped up, so you want to do that as well. Chi Brew is awesome. You want to use that. It gives you 4 stacks of Chi, and you could basically just keep throwing uplifts. If you have, say, 9 renewing mists up, you throw out your first 4 Chis on uplift, hit Chi Brew, get 4 more, 2 more uplifts right there.
Oh, that's super heals right there.
Yeah, and you want to stack, combine that with Thunder Focus Tea on cooldown. When you have a lot of renewing mists, it'll refresh the duration on renewing mist.
All right, great, thank you. All right, any other tips you got, Duke?
Well, monk healers are in a particularly special place when it comes to the Jihn'rok fight, because we're the only healers that don't really have to worry about focused lightning. Focused lightning is going to hit your ranged players. It's in the entire time I've been doing Jihn'rok, I've never once been hit by focused lightning. It just doesn't go after monks, which is fantastic, so you can sit in those puddles and just keep your heals going out to everyone without having to worry about running out of the group or anything like that. As far as what Nao was talking about, you definitely want to time your Thunder Focus Teas for the group up phase. Typically about 10 seconds or so, you've got your DBM timers up. About 10 seconds before, throw out Thunder Focus Tea, get everyone topped off. By the time you start stacking, you're going to have a good roll on just 9 or 10 people. Blow your Chi Brew, go through 4 uplifts. Everyone's going to be happy. Next phase, if you miss the timing, you'll have your renewal, your revival. Try and time your revival for the latter part of Lightning Storm. It's kind of wasted if you do it near the beginning, unless everyone's already low on health, but typically by the time you're grouping up, nobody should be low on health. The other thing is that you're going to get more healing out of Uplift and Renewing Mist than you will out of Spinning Crane Kick on a per mana basis. Try to stay away from Spinning Crane Kick. It's just going to suck your mana away.
Yeah. And mana is definitely a scarce resource at times in that fight. All right, well, let's move on. Any last words on Jihn'rok the Breaker?
Well, for all monks, Zen meditation is really great for the lightning phase. You can just sit there and soak all of the orbs.
Yep, that is extremely powerful. All right. Well, we've all broke Jihn'rok the Breaker a few times, so that'll help you just break the DPS meters. So, all right. Uplift. Alright, Uplift is where we talk about new changes coming to the monk class. PTR changes in particular. I know we've got some hot button issues this time around. So let's get started. Some recent developments in Jihn'rok the Breaker pet control bar now. So that should be interesting. Talent's no longer on global cooldown for all monk specializations as well. For a little while they had taken taunt off the toolbar, so he did not have a taunt. Now he does, but now it's controllable. That's going to make things interesting. So, Sunnier, are you actually going to start using Jihn'rok now a little bit more?
I use him quite a bit, but it really sucks now that when I have to, like, I want to use him for the DPS, but he keeps taunting things and dying, and that was pretty bad. So now it's pretty exciting that I get to use him for the DPS purpose, and I can just turn off taunt. Or if I want to use taunt, I can like actually move him to a spot I want him to tank stuff in, or taunt the right mobs because he just does not want to taunt the thing I want him to.
No, he taunts the thing that will kill him.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting, and I'm happy that Blizzard finally came around and made him a real pet.
Yeah. So, Air, what do you think? Or do you think they're going to add in some new features to Jihn'rok?
Well, I was reading the forums, the MO Champion forums last night, and someone who was able to play with it a little bit on the PTR said that right now the pet bar has 2 buttons. One is for taunting, and the other one is to make it the jump to get to the enemy fast. So as of right now, there's only 2 things to do with it, which can be good to get it to where it needs to be and to tell when and when not to taunt. So it'll be interesting to see if they add more to it than that. If they add too much stuff, it's going to be interesting because it's a bit of change, more than we're used to with Windwalkers, and it'll be interesting to see how we have to change our macros, how we have to, start controlling a pet, which, as someone who I only have a level 26 hunter, so I've never done it too much before. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what they end up doing.
I wonder if taunt is going to be available to Windwalkers too.
Should that
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Is it still
Where's
permanent
he going?
for Windwalkers?
Which pet is on Growl? Oh, you monk!
We get to do that finally! Yay! What was that, Naoyuki?
I was just asking, is it still permanent for Windwalkers and on a global cooldown for?
It's going to be.
Brewmaster?
It's going to be off the global cooldown for all specs, and I think we just talked about it. That'd be very cool if it was more like a hunter pet, where Zoom was always out. Just because who doesn't want a white lightning tiger to sit next to you wherever you go?
And that's our stance too. Stance of the tiger. So
yeah, so it'd be
very angry.
That makes it kind of a non-choice for a talent, though. I mean, why wouldn't you go with the pet if that'd be a huge DPS?
Yeah, it'd be very cool. So I'm thinking that right now it's still on the cooldown. It's just off. It'll allow you to macro it a lot better, so you don't have to take a global cooldown to get it up anymore. So it'll still, it'll instantly go out when you want it to. It'll be out for the 45 seconds, and then it'll go away on the 3-minute cooldown, and then you continue on.
Yeah, the best part about taking out the global cooldown is you can throw it into a macro too. You can have a nuke macro, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
All right, so Brewmaster's got a couple of changes as well, not as much as Windwalkers, but all right, Keg Smash now deals 18% less damage. What do you think about that, Sunnier?
We kind of saw it coming. Keg Smash hits really hard, and it's going to continue to make all other tank classes very sad. So I think it ends up being about a 3 or 4% DPS decrease for Brewmasters, which isn't a big deal, so no one should get upset about that.
Yeah, I noticed when I'm doing my dailies and whatnot now, when I pull out that Dizzying Haze, Keg Smash, man, that just destroys anything I'm hitting, and it destroys everything in front of me, which is very nice, but yeah, it's gonna go away. So they had a change listed back when they were messing with Jihn'rok. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same thing now, but they said that we'll gain Vengeance when Jihn'rok takes damage. So you can actually That
I
would
think
bring.
that's still up. Which is a good thing, because another downside to using Shun right now is that you lose out on your vengeance, and tank deepness is so important these days that it's like you have to sacrifice some of your DPS for this DPS cooldown. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So this is just a good change. I don't think it'll make a huge difference, but it takes away some of that, like, oh, I have to do this weird math trade-off decision making that happened before.
That could do some interesting things for Dark Animus. You put Zen on the little guys, and you're getting all the vengeance while you're taking the bigger guys.
Yeah, but he couldn't take two of the little guys, and that's where the big vengeance first comes from. He would just die so fast.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Alright, Windwalkers. This is the big one. We should probably go over Mistweavers first, because we're going to be talking about... Actually, have there been any real Mistweaver changes?
We're perfect. What can you say?
The only change I saw was for all specs, really, is the chi brew.
Yeah, Monk Mistweavers are actually in a really good spot. We're not overpowered where we're not supposed to stand out, and we're not underpowered in areas where we're supposed to lack. I mean, every healer spec is supposed to have you're good for this, you're bad for this. And Monk Mistweaving right now, they did a really good job of balancing it. The only thing I really wish they would do for Mistweavers is increase our ability to do fist weaving a little bit better, because pretty much fist weaving has turned into spam the crane lightning.
I'm looking forward to talking fist weaving on Horadon next show, because that should be fun. So let's go to Windwalkers. Air, I think you said the sky is falling?
I was, if you follow me on Twitter, there might have been a small little break of the whole, Zen aura that should be following most monks, and I've since calmed down after a little bit of reasoning and, some extra strong tea. But no, overall, I think now that we're looking into the numbers, a lot of the theory crafters are doing everything they possibly can, and I'm just soaking up that information because I love doing that stuff. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and the changes are definitely good, because then we won't be based around a single trinket anymore, which for a lot of my monk brethren out there who haven't yet gotten this trinket, it completely makes or breaks the class for a lot of things. So,
the fact that your team hasn't down Tordos and yet you're hitting 900k Rising Sun kicks.
I think I saw 2 million.
Yeah, there was definitely 2 million in there.
It is possible to hit with when rune procs. You're using your Tiger's Eye brew, and as it is right now, using with this the way the old mastery worked is the rune proc. All of your secondary stats get converted to your highest, which for Windwalkers it better be mastery. So you want them as close as possible. So when that hits, and you use your Tiger's Eye brew with 10 stacks, I'm at around a 300 and a 522 item level. You're doing roughly 150% damage for 15 seconds.
Oh Jesus!
It only goes higher from there. The higher your item level goes. So if you can imagine, in a fight like Jihn'rok or a fight like Horadon at the end.
Yeah.
Where you're doing 150 plus damage with hero, you got double dancing steel procs, and you also have a second trinket going at this time with a pot, then you're going to see your 1.5 million Rising Sun crits, your 2 million plus Rising Sun crits. When you're AOing bats on Tortoise, you're seeing your DPS spike to 1.5 million DPS.
Yep. And so you're wondering why we're getting nerfed. I mean,
it's they don't want this trinket to be best in slot for us in the next tier. So it's instead of getting this massive increase, they're bringing back our mastery down a little bit, making it a little bit more even, which means that if you don't have the trinket, you're still going to be doing good, and you have a lot more controlled DPS. And if you time everything right, if the rune is working for you, that's a 20 to 30k DPS difference by the end of the fight versus if you miss a couple or if you just get bad RNG with when it procs. So it'll be a lot more steady damage, I think.
Yeah,
overall.
as I have the ROR LFR trinket, and that was when we were working on Megara. I used it for half a night and switched out. Because it will proc when there's 1 second left on a head.
Yep.
Every time.
That does happen.
Yeah, I got rid of it, but I'm waiting for the normal version to drop, and then because that will proc more often. So, but I think this is a good change because it made it untenable. Because as we go on to get to 580, 600 item levels, the amount of secondary stats we get are going to be outrageous. And you put that all to mastery. If we kept it the same, we would be seeing like 200, 300% DPS increases, and monks would just shoot through the roof, which is all right with me, but not so good for the class balance overall.
Completely. You know, it's really fun to watch yourself completely shoot with the meters when it works, but it leads to a really random kind of playstyle, a luck-based playstyle, and with the changes, I think it's going to be good for everything overall.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go over those changes for those who don't know. So, it's been a complete redesign. As someone said, we've now doing three raid tiers, 3 masteries. So, our third mastery here is we'll give a chance to generate an additional charge of Tiger Eye Brew when the monk gains 1 normally. So instead of gaining 1 charge, we'll gain 2. And so the higher your mastery is, the higher percentage chance to double that Tiger Eye Brew will happen. Tiger Eye Brew has also made some changes by itself. So instead of stopping at 20 charges, you will go up to 30. And you can consume up to 15 at a time versus 10. And right now, this has been in fluctuation, so we'll probably change probably change tomorrow. Might have changed already, but by the time this show started. Instead of getting 1% DPS per stack, it will be right now at 6%. I think it was at 5% before.
It was originally 1% when they first rolled it out.
Right, it went from 5 now to 1, now to 6.
When the sky was falling, it was 1%.
Okay. And it is no longer increased by a mastery. So that's how it is right now in 5.3, is that mastery will increase the amount of damage it is. So that goes away. And for a short time when the sky was falling, we would only gain 1 charge of brew for every 3 chi spent versus 4, but they've put that back.
Yeah, it's now 3 chi again, so...
Oh, wait, now it's back to 3?
Now it's back to 3, actually, yeah. Chi and Dragon Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, so it makes it a little bit more even, so you can use it at the full 15 stacks versus 12 stacks, which is what you would probably optimally want to do with 4 Chi.
The 4-piece bonus for tier 15 may still be really powerful then for a while.
It'll you know, there's a lot of number crafting going on, theory crafting with numbers going on right now, so it'll be cool to see what happens, but it could work out to be quite a big difference with...
Yeah, until you get 4 pieces banked up of tier 16, you may want to just keep it. That's interesting.
You know, the way that new Tiger's Eye Brew is, you know, before you'd be running 150, 160% damage, 170, 180 if you're doing heroics, and the way it works now is that at 15 stacks you're running a 90% damage increase flat. So which is still, you know, if you're generating chi, which I think, you know, you roughly be getting 15 stacks roughly every 30 seconds if you're playing perfectly. I think it's like 28 based on the numbers, but that's a big damage increase every, you know, twice a minute or so. And then you can control when it happens as well. So we're going back to that same style where in 5.2 we really had to wait for our procs to come up to use Tiger's Eye Brew. So it's a lot more controlled, it's a lot less random, and I think overall it'll bode pretty well for the majority of monks out there.
And we think we all agree that both of these masteries are significantly better than Combo Breaker. Alright, so there was, after the sky was falling, Lore came on Twitter, or not on Twitter, he was on on the forums and actually posted a blue post that read, "Seems like you guys have us pretty well figured out, but here's some clarifications and confirmations, sorry. First off, you're correct that the change is intended to fix the Rune of Origination issue, which we all assumed. It highlights some pretty strange behaviors that the current mastery has, and we feel that although the trinket is fairly unique in its design, the issue lies with the Windwalker mastery, and thus could easily crop up again in future tiers if we just change the trinket. On top of that, there are some secondary issues of 5.3 mastery, several of which have been brought up in this thread, that made us feel that it is best just to try a new approach. Now, at this point in development, we're primarily focused on making sure the mechanics make sense and are fun to play with. Once we're happy with how the mastery functions, we'll fix Monk DPS. We're not trying to nerf you, we're just trying to make your mechanics make sense. As an aside, we really appreciate how constructive you guys have been with your feedback thus far. Keep it coming, it helps tremendously." And that is one point I want to put out, is that unlike certain classes, rogues, when we get a nerf bat, we're like, okay, let's try this instead. So, and instead of just being all trolly about it. So the monk community is awesome. We're constructive, we're helpful, and I think that's all because of our Zen meditation.
Exactly.
So, we are taking that Zen idea of, oh, I see what you're trying to do. Let's talk about this.
Right.
Let's sit down here and have a little chat, please.
Yeah.
The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Okay, hold on.
Hold on, let me think about this.
Meditate.
Let's meditate on this for a moment.
Alright, so there were some blue tweets out there. Windwalker needs something besides DPS to offer. Every other melee has a raid cooldown, major raid healing, or both. Windwalker has neither. And we got a response saying, "The utility arms race won't end well. Someone will always have the best and others will still want more to compete." So let's remember that I think our raid utility is Rune of Origination right now. That is our raid utility. We destroy everyone in DPS. So there you go.
I think monks have a decent amount of utility. Now, one of the things, I saw a tweet from Laura earlier that said that if your argument is X class has that, why don't I? They're just going to zone out, because that's not an argument. It's, you know, why do you need something is what they want to hear. And, you know, there's a bunch of really great talents. The entire second talent is literally, how can I, no matter my spec, heal people around me?
Right.
Every monk can take Chi Torpedo, which both heals and harms anything that you pass through.
And looks badass too.
Yeah. Rushing Jade Wind is the same thing, and on top of that, it buffs an AoE ability that every class that every spec has. So I think monks have a decent amount of utility, but we're not supposed to be kind of the be-all end-all class. We're supposed to compete against rogues, and rogues have a similar utility kit, with the exception of, well, they've got a few stuns and they've got some control, where what we have is the ability to heal and 2 million crits. And
movement. That's the biggest thing with the monk class, is being able to get from point A to point B incredibly quickly. And that's something the monks say. They have Shadow Step, but we have Flying Serpent Kick. No contest.
On Darumu, which we were fighting last night, every time he'd hit you with that little pink puddle, or the purple stuff, it's always, you know, roll back, watch for it. I always feel like I'm waiting for a fly ball out of left field. It's like, okay, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Got it. Time to roll back in. And within a cooldown, you're back to where you need to be. And with Transcendence, too. We can even get past that even faster. I just need to remember to use that a little bit more. So I think all of us do. Yes.
A lot of people seem to be complaining that, you know, they don't bring anything special. They don't bring a B-raise. They don't bring any kind of extra heals. They don't bring something that helps out everyone else. We have a lot of personal utility. You know, we have great movement. You know, for the DPS, you're going to want to take Chi. It's required to take Chi Wave right now, but that's 1%, 1 to 2% of overall healing for a raid. A lot of people want that ability, especially in 10-man, to say, hey, if we bring this monk over, say, a rogue, this is going to be a good thing. So it will, you know, a lot of people are asking for that, and Ghostcrawler said that monks they're supposed to have a lot of healing. Well, we're getting a healing change with Tiger Eye Brew. I think we're taking, is it 10% extra healing with whenever we take a Tiger's Eye Brew as well, too now. But it's that standout thing for, let's say, like Windwalkers is just not there. But again, hunters, they have a lot of the pets, but do they bring a raid-wide thing for themselves too? I mean, not every class can have the best utility. There always has to be someone at the bottom, and I guess maybe that just has to be us for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think we're in a good place as Windwalkers. We bring 2 buffs to the table, something not a lot of the DPS classes do. So we fit in and help out the raid team in that way. Zen Meditation, I still think, is a very powerful cooldown when used. A lot of the fights in Throne of Thunder are stack fights, where that is incredibly powerful. Megara, that is huge. Jihn'rok, that's huge. Even Tordos has some ability there. So
yeah, there's a lot of discussion on the forums, both the official WoW ones and especially MMO chat, if you're looking to see what a lot of especially the heroic mode raiders are looking for, because that's where a lot of this is coming from what I've been able to read.
Okay.
I just like kicking stuff, so I'm happy with it.
And you're more than capable of doing so. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Any last thoughts, anybody? Sunnier, Naoyuki?
My thoughts is we're basically, what I think Blizzard is trying to do is make us unique. They don't want to make everybody exactly the same, where everybody gets a B-res, everybody gets heroes, everybody gets the same buff. They want the uniqueness, because otherwise, what's the point of playing a monk? What's the point of playing a mage or a hunter? Everybody has its own utility. A lot of people might think that it's personal cooldowns or personal utilities, but like you said, Zen Meditation is a good raid cooldown. We bring 2 buffs. I just think being unique is good for WoW. I don't think everybody should be equal.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we took battle res and we took all that, then no one would bring a hunter or a mage. No one needs mages anymore, right? All right, Sunnier, you got any thoughts?
I think you guys covered it. For Windwalkers, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on then. Uplift. That's the wrong sounder. Good job. Zen Pilgrimage. Alright, Zen Pilgrimage is where we talk about the community. As we talked about before, the monk community is thriving, vibrant, very helpful, very patient. So this is where we'll talk about feedback. You can send feedback to monkmeditation@gmail.com or reach out to us at Twitter, and we'll go over that at the end of the show. So we did have a question on Twitter. Chaithi on Twitter said, so far I've got a druid, shaman, pally, and finally a mage to 90. Next on the list is the monk. She's 64 so far, leveled most of the way as brewmaster, but recently have been using Windwalker. Definitely doing something wrong. My DPS is horrible. Are there any pointers? I think, Air, you had some good responses to that.
Yeah, I mean, so with Windwalkers, you want to keep up your Tiger Power. That's that 30% armor reduction buff on whatever for anything that you hit. So that's always important. That needs to essentially have 100% uptime. Keep up Rising Sun Kick because you're doing just more damage. So keeping those 2 up, because Rising Sun, you got a big buff for 5.3 to bring us back up to some higher DPS levels. So keep those 2 up. When you're using Tiger's Eye Brew, save it to 10 stacks and go over that. Only use it when you have trinkets proccing, when you have your weapon enchants proccing. Up until you get to your ruin, that's a completely different thing. But for leveling, for anything else, use that when you have 10 stacks with stuff. If you're going to get to 20 stacks, dump it at about 18 or so. And just those are the real basic things that I see a lot of people who are kind of getting new to monks forget a little bit. So those are just a couple of maintenance things. Otherwise, check out Icy Veins, check out the Windwalker Guide and MMO Champ. Those are fantastic resources to kind of pick things up.
Absolutely a good one, yeah. Keeping Tiger Palm up, 30% armor debuff is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest trick I can give you is make sure that that is always up, but only hit Tiger Palm when you need to put that up, because it does not do very much DPS. So if you're wasting a lot of your chi on that, that's not good. That will lower your DPS significantly. So hit it as soon as you can. Make sure it's up. Use something like weak auras to keep track of that, and then dump all of your chi in Rising Sun Kick is your number one priority, and then Blackout Kick. So as long as you're dumping your chi in the right way, that's going to be a huge buff for you. And one thing I see a lot at lower levels is everyone is on Spin Cycle, Spinning Crane Kick. They hit that, and they just, all I see is spin, spinny monk. I get very dizzy. The general rule of thumb is Spinning Crane Kick 4 enemies or more. If there are not 4 enemies or more, do not use it. If it's 3 enemies or less, just hit single target. I don't think we get Storm, Earth, and Fire until very late.
Mm-hmm.
So that won't help you when you're leveling up. But Fists of Fury will hit 3 or less, and that will spread out the DPS. Once you get past 3, it's not very good for DPS, but if you got 3 or less targets, hit them with Fists of Fury pretty much on cooldown, and that will jump your numbers significantly higher. All right.
I have a quick question about that.
Sure.
For Spinning Crane Kick, do you want the Rising Sun Kick buff or debuff before you use it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you will want to have Tiger Palm up there, as well as Rising Sun Kick before you go into Spin Cycle.
Tiger Palm is something that sticks with you, so if you just keep target switching, it's no problem. But Rising Sun Kick, you do have to place that debuff on the target. But what's nice is you hit one target, it'll then spread to every target within a small area of that too. So if you can time it right, if it's off cooldown, wait until you can get in group, pop your Rising Sun Kick, start to Spin Cycle, watch things die.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Sharath. I hope that helped. I know I had another question on Twitter that was very similar to that today, so I hope that helps out as well. So, all right. Well, I think that does it for this podcast. Episode 0 of Monk Meditation is coming to a close. I hope everyone had fun, everyone enjoyed. So, all right, please rate us on iTunes. We are out there. You can search for Monk Meditation. We're also on Stitcher. So thank you all for listening. You can watch us live in 2 weeks, Tuesday, July 30th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or after the fact. You can reach us at iTunes, Stitcher, or monkmeditation.com. And this isn't just our podcast. We want it to be yours, so let us know where to find you. Twitch, Twitter, in-game, or wherever else. Help us prove the Monk community is the greatest community in World of Warcraft. Reach out to us individually or email the show at monkmeditation@gmail.com. So, where can everyone follow you? For me, you can reach me on Twitter at WowMonk, or in-game on Airy Peak or Argent Dawn US as Chaithi, Chaithi. My battle tag is Chaithi, number 1806. I'm always happy to talk to you in-game. If I'm raiding, I might politely say, hold on a little bit. But you can also watch my stream Monday nights and Friday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, at twitch.tv/wowmonk. Naoyuki, where can we reach you?
You could find me on Twitter at Naoyuki, NAOYUKI _CTR on Twitter, of course, and in Airy Peak US as Naoyuki on the Alliance side. Great.
Daikatsu, how can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter on Daikatsu CTR, DAIKATSU, letter CTR, or you can find me on Airy Peak on Daikatsu. You can also hit me through my battle tag. It is DUKROUS, number 1538.
All right, Air, how about you?
You can find me on the Twittersphere at at Air Monk, and you can also find me in the world of Azeroth on US Airy Peak as Air, and that is spelled A-Y-R.
Great. All right, Sunnier, how about you?
All right, there are lots of ways to contact me. I have a list of everything on my blog, sunniersartofwar.com. You can follow me on Twitter at SunnierBear, or you can add my battle tag, which is Sunnier pound 1336. Yeah, I like talking to people. I get lots of people talk to me.
And if you are a brewmaster, go see her blog, sunniersartofwar.com. It has a great resource. All right. Any shout-outs for anybody? I want to shout out to Bruce Leroy on Twitter for providing the monkmeditation.com domain for the show. That was really awesome of you. Thank you so much for doing that. All right. Naoyuki, you got a shout-out, I believe?
Yes, I have one for Belschnickel from the Converted podcast.
Tickle, Belschnickel.
Yes, he made my Friday awesome. It was an awesome day. He put on Twitter a CTR little poem for me, and it just made my day. I LOL'd in real life and everything. But I also want to give a shout out to all the monks out there passing their good chi our way. You know, Bruce Willis and everybody else on Twitter. It's just an amazing community, and I love being a monk, and especially being in Convert to Raid Guild. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right, Air.
Well, so I want to give a big shout out to all the monk brethren here on the show, as well as everywhere else in the world of Azeroth. CTR, thank you guys so much. It's given me new reasons to play. I'm still a fairly new player, but this is completely awesome. I do want to give a big shout out to some fellow monks who I like to talk strat with and chase meters. Big thanks to Panderriere, Bruce Willis, and Karn Punch on the CTR guilds.
Yeah, I follow them on Twitter a lot, and it is always a fun time, especially when something like the sky is falling happens. My phone completely blows up when I'm at work, which is bad because I'm not technically supposed to be looking at my phone. But I always have to kind of keep up. So, all right, guys. Monk Meditation is a World of Warcraft fan podcast, copyright 2013. Certain audio portions belong entirely to Blizzard Entertainment. No copyright infringement is intended. Please don't sue us. All right, and that does it for Monk Meditation Episode 0. Thank you all for joining us. I will get this podcast up in audio form shortly. So thank you all, and have a wonderful night.
Bye.
See you guys later. Thanks a lot.